Everybody, just going through some work solutions for surface area and volume. So for this first one, I'm going to use a different color. For this first one, you've got 8 times 7, which is going to be the base and the top. Base and the top, okay? You're going to have 2 times 7, which is these side pieces here. And you're going to have 2 times 8, which is these pieces at the front and back. So you just need to figure out how much one of these is, one of those sides, and then double it, okay? So 8 times 2 is 16. That'll be for this one over here. 2 times 7 is 14. That'll be one of these ones on the side. And then let's just say that this blue part, the roof, if you will, of this object is going to be 8 times 7, which is 56. You add those all up, you get 86. You multiply that by 2, you'll get 172 meters squared. For this over here, you've got to do half base times height for your triangle. Okay, so 3 times 4 is 12. Half of that will be 6. So it'll be 6 on the front and then 6 on the back. Hence, my two triangles will equal 12. Now, this diagonal here, I need to figure this out to try to figure out what this ramp area would be, because I know it's going to be 7 times this diagonal value here. Okay, 3 squared plus 4 squared will get me this squared. 3 squared is 9, 4 squared is 16, 9 plus 16 is 25. 25 is this diagonal squared, square root 25, and you get 5. So that is 5, and therefore the ramp is going to be 5 times 7 equals 35. The base is going to be 7 times 4 is 28. And this back side here that you can't see, so opposite that ramp at the back there, is going to be 3 high, and it's going to be 7 up there. So 3 times 7 is 21. You add all those numbers up and you'll get 96 centimeters squared. Find the surface area of a cylinder, which has a radius of 8 centimeters. The formula that we need to use is going to be 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi r times h. But I'm going to explain those. So pi r squared is the area of a circle. So that's going to get me one of the circular faces. But because there's 2 circular faces, the top and the bottom, that's why you have 2 pi r squared. Now this 2 pi r times h, see this curved area, the part that wraps around, okay? That, if you actually stretch that out, that would make a rectangle. And that rectangle would be, it would have a height, as it states in the question, 9.5. But then the actual length or width, if you will, all the way across here, that's going to be the circumference. It's going to be 2 pi r. Because that's going to be this at the top, if this was our cylinder. So that's why we have 2 pi r times h. Okay, 2 pi r, which is that part at the top, and h. Okay, when you multiply those numbers out, so inserting your r as 8 and your h of 9.5, you should get 879.6 centimeters squared. Now for the cylinder given, you're going to be doing the same things, but this time you've got a radius of 20, because you've got a diameter of 40, so you've got to half that, and you've got a height of 32. So this part here, the curved surface area, will be that. The area of the circular ends will be the top part there, and then the surface area is going to be adding them both together. For number 4, again, I've got my 2 circular faces. I've got my curved surface part, and then I've just inserted the numbers in. 2 times pi times r squared, which is 4.3 squared, plus 2 times pi times my radius times by my height. And when you add those two things together, you should get 259.54 meters squared. 259.4 meters squared. The next one is the same thing. You just got different values. For whatever reason, I put I put them in a different order on the side, but it's addition, so it doesn't matter which order you do it in. But I've called this one number 1, number 2, number 1, number 2. So 2 pi r squared is my circular faces, 2 times pi times 1.5 squared, plus 2 times pi times 1.5 times 2. That's the radius, and that's your height. Radius and height. And when you put those two together, you get 32.98 something, which rounds up to 32.99 meters squared. The area of the following figures. So the area of a trapezium will be a plus b over 2 times by height. So 6 plus 14 divided by 2. So that will be 20 divided by 2 is 10, times by my height of 8 will get you 80 centimeters squared. For this one here, it's just, you shouldn't know, pi r squared is area of a circle. Because it's 20 meters as the diameter, the radius is half of that, it's 10. Pi times 10 squared, 100 pi, 314.16 meters squared. Next one, you just do a line here like I did to separate it into two different shapes. You've got 4 by 12, which gives you 48, and then you've got half base times height for your triangle. Half of 12 is 6 times your height of 6. 6 times 6 is 36. You get 36 and 48, add them together, you get 84 meters squared. Volume of the following solids. Something I always do for any sort of prism is figure out the area of one face and multiply it by the depth. Now, for a rectangular prism, you could do that with any face. So for that one, it's a lot easier. You just multiply the numbers. 8 times 7 is 56 times 2, 112 meters cubed. That one's easy. But for B, it looks a bit more complicated. We've got to use our A plus B over 2 times H formula to get the area of one of the faces. So for example, see this blue area that it's got? It's 14 across. It's going to be 20 down the bottom. So that's why I've got my 14 plus 20 divided by 2. And then I times by my height of 12. And once you've got that value, you just multiply it by 15. And you get your 3,060 centimeters cubed. Okay, so area of a face and multiply it by the depth. So for this one, it'd be the same thing. Half times base times height, half times 3 times 4. 3 times 4 is 12, half of that is 6. So I've got 6 as my area of that face. 6 times by my depth of 7 will give me my 42 centimeters cubed. For these ones, same thing again. Just like I'd mentioned before, they're prisms of sorts. It's just circular prisms, really, that we call cylinders. Pi r squared gives you the area of the face, and you multiply that by the depth, or the height, as they call it in this. Pi r squared, which will be pi times 7 squared, multiply that by 10, and I'll get 1,539.4 centimeters cubed. And similarly for the next one, it's going to be pi times, this is a diameter, so I need half that for the radius. Pi times 4.8 squared gives me the area of the face. Multiply that by my 12.5, get 904.8 centimeters cubed. Skipping the rectangular pyramid and the other pyramid question. I can cover that later if anybody really wants. Just leave a question about it and I'll put the answer in the comments and the working out. It's fairly simple. It's just following a formula like the rest of them. Find the volume of a sphere. The volume of a sphere is 4 on 3 pi r cubed. So it's going to be 4 on 3 pi times 5.2 cubed. Put that in your calculator and you should get 588.977 centimeters cubed. That was for 3 significant figures. For the next one, it gives us the diameter. We don't want diameter, we want radius. So we've got to half that. 4 on 3 pi times 1.8 cubed gives me 24.4 meters cubed. I only wanted 1 decimal place this time. Now, just like I mentioned earlier with my prisms, just find the area of the front and multiply that by the depth. So for this first one, you do half 4.2 times 1.4 to give you the area of this triangle, which is 2.94. And you add that to your 2 times 4.2, your 8.4, your rectangle part here. And then when you add them together, you've got the rectangular part and the triangular part, you've got the entire front face. Okay, that'll get you 11.34. You multiply that by your depth, 11.34 times 6, get you 68.04 meters cubed. For your last one, you've just got to get the area of this rectangle part in here. 7 times 5 is 35. So don't worry about that little dot. You've got 35. And then at the top here, you've got half a circle. So you would normally do pi r squared, but instead you're going to do half pi r squared because it's half a circle. And you should know that the radius will be 3.5 because it's going to be half of 7. Okay? So it's going to be 3.5 from there to there, just like it's going to be there to there. All right? So when you end up doing that, you get your half pi r squared plus your 35. I think the half pi r squared was about 19 something. You add them two together, you get around 54, which is the area of this front part. All in there will be about 54. Multiply that by 9, and you should come up with that answer. I've done 2 decimal places when that hasn't asked for anything else. So hopefully this is all fairly straightforward, but